Hello everyone, this is Donnie, also known as Elevated, joined by Jenkins here. We have a gameplay update, and it is 7.19b, and it's interesting. Jenkins and I just talked about this in our Alchemy Answers that we released this morning, and we said that there probably wouldn't actually be a lot of changes in the next patch, at least to heroes, because the game feels relatively balanced, and it looks like, just from a cursory glance at this, that we haven't gotten a ton of massive hero reworks or anything like that. So we're just going to go over the changes from 7.19b, and I don't know, Jenkins, what do you think? I think that we're going to get a big patch, but it's probably going to come with the hero Mars that's going to be released this winter.
Maybe. I just think this is like a kind of tides you over patch to change the game from how it was at TI, because there's going to be a huge influx of new players from TI, and there's a lot of people coming from League of Legends right now. So I feel like this patch is just switching up the meta from that period to keep things fresh, or at least that's my take on this, that we don't hit that kind of lull period after TI where everybody's just bored of the game and waiting for the next big patch.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. So let's go ahead and just get into it. We have general changes. Buyback respawn time penalty has been changed from 25% of remaining time to plus 25 seconds always. So previously it was depending on when you bought back in your buyback timer. Like if you bought back immediately after dying, you would have 25% of your remaining timer added to it. Whereas if you bought back like with 2 seconds left, you'd have 25% of 2 seconds, or basically no time added.
Yeah, so this is basically just a straight nerf, because like, when are you gonna have 100-second buyback time and buy back at 100 seconds? Like, basically buying back is significantly worse.
Especially in the early,
a huge change.
Especially in the early parts of the game.
Oh yeah, in the early game.
Because the extra 25 seconds, like previously, if you bought back at like level 7 or 8, you'd have such a short buyback timer, or such a short timer anyway.
Yeah, it wouldn't matter. Basically,
so 25 seconds is a fairly big deal, especially at the early game.
You used to be able to just buy back like willy-nilly at 10 minutes into the game, and like you actually kind of should. You should do it. That's the thing, and which is so silly because it's buybacking. It's never been like that before. So obviously they didn't like that. So
and we were just talking about how powerful buybacks were. So nerfing early game at least buybacks, and well, it kind of remain to be seen what happens in the later stages of the game. Okay, level 2 experience requirement changed from 200 to 230, and they give a scenario, which is where Team A gets 2 melee denies per wave, and Team B gets 1 melee deny per wave. Team A wave requirement for level 2 increases from 2 waves to 3 waves. Team B wave requirement remains at 3 waves, so total EXP needed for other levels is unchanged. Basically, just that there was that power spike, right, where it was basically like if you were able to get level 2 first, you could like win the lane straight up.
Yeah, that was. It seems like a nerf to a lot of this patch is just a nerf to a lot of the bullshit that was in the previous patch, the stuff that people were complaining about, especially if you look at the next one too. There's So yeah, that's a nice change. I didn't like that there was so much focus on that one power spike. It makes a lot of sense that Dota's more like your choices matter outside of just the first 30 seconds. You know, like it makes a lot of sense that that they're just spreading the love for like where your choices matter in the game.
Yep. And so then obviously the next change for general changes is Glyph is now on cooldown until 3-minute timer of the game, and this is
same thing.
This was something that you'd see a lot at TI, where basically the first wave would get glyphed, especially in the mid lane, to be able to allow one mid laner to dive the other mid laner or force the wave under tower and harass them that way. And now you can't do that. You actually have to play the first 3 minutes of the game normally without abusing a mechanic in the game.
Yeah, that's good. Same train of thought as the last one, basically.
All right, on to item changes. Go ahead, take it away.
Stout Shield. Damage block for melee heroes increased from 18 to 20. I like that. I like a lot of melee heroes. We talked about in the previous Alchemy Answers how we think there are a lot of melee heroes that are relatively weak, ones that get kited in particular, and any buffs to that I'm pretty happy with. I like, the idea of spreading the love, play as many heroes as possible in a patch. I like that. I think it makes the game interesting. So that's a nice change. 2 damage is actually relatively significant. That's like if you block 2 extra damage for every hit in the laning phase, that's like 1 or 2 extra tangos that you don't need. So that's pretty good actually, especially in a patch where the laning and efficiency is so important.
Definitely. It's I think they kind of realized that Poor Man's Shield, when it was removed, was like too much of a deal for those offlaners or just really any melee hero. It just made laning, even for safe lane heroes, like getting just poked down by a Wind Ranger in lane constantly was super, super annoying. So that's good. Yeah. Ring of Aquila has been reduced.
Aquila nerf. Yeah. 3 damage. Makes sense. It goes down to the damage that the Wraith Band has, which kind of makes sense. Although there is the damage on the Basilius that goes away technically when you, I don't know. It's weird. How much damage
gives you 7 damage?
Let me see. So it gives you 7 damage, and then Aquila gives you 7. Okay, so the 7 damage comes from the. All right, then you get the 7 agility as well from the Wraith Band. I wasn't thinking. So basically, 3 damage came from nowhere, which obviously makes it great to combine that item, the Wraith Band and the Basilius. So yeah, that item needs nerfs. Like when every single hero is building that item, even non-agi heroes, it needs to be nerfed. Mechanism, heal increase 250 to 275. That item has been underpowered for like 2 years now, so that's definitely a much needed change. Guardian Greaves, of course, the heal on that has been increased as well. I'm not 100% sure if that's going to make it viable, but it's a nice start. I think what makes it viable is going to depend on whether or not the Guardian Greaves heroes become popular, like Dark Seers and things like that. And if you're playing against a lot of silences and stuff, like if the meta switches to, heroes that you need that purge, then of course Guardian Greaves is going to be strong. And speaking of healing items, Urn of Shadows, Spirit Vessel, the heal rate was reduced on both of those items from 35 to 30. It does feel like the Spirit Vessel item has been broken since it has been added to the game. I don't know if you agree or disagree. It feels like it's been picked up in every game, and it's never felt like it hasn't had a very large impact. So that's a nice change. It has been very, very effective. Movement speed reduced as well on that to just give you the Windlace movement speed. Once again, stats coming from nowhere doesn't make all that much sense. So nerfing that. I like Spirit Vessel, but I also like that nerf just because items like Force Staff, Spirit Vessel, they get a pass because they're kind of like a cool item, and all this, and the supports get them. So it's like, it's all right. It's okay that it's been broken forever, But I like that. I like that they're getting, they're getting down and dirty with the support items now too.
I mean, by no means is Urn or Spirit Vessel bad now. They're just less amazing. It's like they're still good items, but they're just not like insanely good. You're still probably going to see a Spirit Vessel or Urn on every single team, or there should be, because it's such a good item for sustaining pushes.
Yeah, it is. It's like as good. It's almost as good as like Boots. Like it's actually that good. Scythe of Vice, mana cost increased. I don't think this is like a big change at all. It's like when they changed Yule Scepter to have an increased mana cost, except a little less significant, because you get so much mana from Scythe of Vice that I don't think 250 mana cost is that significant.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a slight nerf to Tinker, I guess, because you can change.
Maybe Storm too, because Storm uses a huge mana pool. So,
but I mean, this item is still so good. Like I'm picking it up on basically every hero that I can. I pick it up on Bloodseeker. I pick it up situationally on like Axe. Anything where you need extra lockdown on your team.
Clinks, Ursa, super good. Everybody. Yeah, it's very, very good. Although I don't want to downplay the nerf too much, because obviously there are going to be situations where you are relatively out of mana and you actually can't take a fight because it costs so much. I'm just talking like if you're healthy, if you're planning around the 250 mana, it's not going to seem like that big of a deal because it actually gives you a lot of mana. It's just that it's not as big of a nerf as it might look like, I think. Speaking of big nerfs, damn, they're really nerfing ranged heroes. Speed bonus on ranged heroes from phase boots is no longer 16%, it's 13%, so it's even less. and the instant turn rate, which was a feature that was added in one of the previous patches when they reduced the speed on the phase boots, that is only for melee heroes. I haven't really felt the impact of that. I don't know about you, but I really haven't felt the impact of that. But I guess that's a melee only feature now, so that's great for us melee mains.
Yeah, I mean, I think this will definitely be something that you'll notice now. Previously, it made it super easy for a hero like Wind Ranger to kite because you could instantly turn and shoot and then turn back and keep running away. So it's going to be really different for people who are trying to kite with those ranged heroes that have phase boots.
It's a good example. She does that
Sniper is another example. Not as popular of a hero, but that sort of mechanic of like being able to run away, turn and shoot, and continue running all in one motion because you're phased with the instant turn rate is going to be something that they can no longer do. And it's going to allow melee heroes to chase a little bit better. So that's good.
Hell yeah, less kiting. Alchemist, Grievel's Greed, Bounty Rune Multiplier, Rescaled. That is a nerf to Sumail right there. So basically, it's 2 scaling to 3.5, 0.5 every level. I think it makes sense. The Bounty Runes, I mean, when you see Crit pinging the Bounty Runes with an open racks available to take, and he says, guys, let's go get the bounties instead of taking racks. Bounties are probably too good on Alk. So it's good. It's good that they nerfed them. Only in the early levels, of course. I think because Alk likes to level up the Grievel's Greed and the Acid Spray first anyway over the stun, and he typically is played mid. This isn't a huge nerf to him, but it's just a slight, it'll slow him down in the early game. It'll slow down that Radiance timing, which makes him a little bit more punishable, which is certainly good. Hey, your favorite
You're not going to see some
like
12-minute Radiance every game on Alchemist now, which is good.
Yeah.
Blood Rage heal rate reduced from 19, 21, 23, 25% to 16, 19, 22, 25. So it's the same at the last level. This is, I mean, they're just continuing to nerf Bloodseeker's early game. I definitely think that you'll feel this to some extent because I still feel like the 1 point in Blood Rage going to 2 points, you definitely feel that percentage just because it's percentage based. So if you're healing off of like a large camp or a catapult or even a melee creep, the percentage actually means like a fairly significant amount of health,
like 20, 30, 40 HP or something, depending, which is a lot. Yeah. I thought that hero sucked in the last patch. So I don't see why. I had a pretty terrible run at TI, so it's interesting they nerfed it again. But Broodmother, base agility reduced by 3. That's not that big of a deal because she still does the same shit. You usually wanted to go Quelling Blade first anyway because she had completely awful base damage. I think that all of these nerfs that you see to Broodmother in the previous patches, all they're doing is making Broodmother way less of an offlaner, and that's just not where Brood is played right now. She's played in the mid lane. I don't think a base agility nerf by 3 is going to make Brood any less of a broken hero in that mid lane because you're getting so many levels, you're getting so many items. You can go for Quelling Blade first. You don't need the Stout Shield because who's going to harass you when you're, a 1 second walk away from your tower at the very least? It's just so dangerous. So I don't think that's a huge nerf to Broodmother. Of course it's a nerf, but it's not a huge nerf.
Yep.
Shen, penitence duration reduced from 8 to 5, 6, 7, 8. I still think penitence being 5 seconds is a lot. I've felt like there's always been overkill on that ability. Whenever you see him use it on somebody, it's kind of like it feels like if you're going for one of those, you're either like harassing in the early game and they run into the tower or something like that, or you are killing somebody in 5 seconds. In my opinion, is like enough time to kill somebody. I don't think that's a huge nerf to Chen. I think the previous nerfs to Chen were a lot worse than this one. They were pretty lax on the Chen nerfs this time. So,
I'm not a Chen player. Is this one of those slows that like ramps back up to normal speed over the course of the duration, or are you just slowed for 18% for the entire?
That's a good question. I don't
think it ramps up, but
I don't think it ramps up.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, an 8 second slow is insane.
I'm not a Chen player.
At level 1. The only other hero that does that is, I believe, Venomancer with Gale.
Yeah, that one ramps up. So, ramps up. Okay. So yeah, not a big deal. Clinks base strength reduced by 2. I don't think that's a big deal. He's already had the issue of being squishy in the laning phase. So I mean, once you get the ultimate, it's no longer an issue. This hero's also played in mid lane, so you're gonna get that level 6 very quickly. Or as a carry, which you're gonna get that level 6 very quickly because you're gonna be prioritized as a hero. So I don't think that's a huge deal for Clinks. Crystal Maiden, Crystal Nova mana cost 130, 140, 150, etc. to increasing by 15 instead, starting at 130. Well, Ellie says that's not a big nerf to Crystal Maiden. That's what she spammed to get immortal. So I'll take her.
It doesn't
I'll take
seem
her
like a
word
big
for it.
nerf. It's nerfing not the early game for once, which has usually been the way that heroes have been changed lately. So, I mean, I can't imagine that a level 4 Crystal Nova costing 15 mana more is going to be a big deal for this hero.
Yeah, it kind of feels like at that point she has a lot of mana anyway, and it's doing enough damage that it's worth a pretty big mana cost. Like that ability does so much damage now.
Yeah.
At level 4. Dark Willow, Shadow Realm damage reduced. To be honest, why was it 120 in the first place? Like there are so few of these nukes, these level 1 nukes that are like over 100 damage, just because it's way too strong for harassing in the laning phase and for getting these like level 1 kills. There's so many of these heroes that just have like one number slightly too high at level 1 on an ability, and you just go that every game, and it's like, oh yeah, that hero's a great level 1 hero because of this just number that's too high. You know, and it's not like innately the ability is broken. It's the number on the level 1 of the ability that is broken. Like Pudge Hook, for example, 150 pure damage. What on earth? It's so high. I mean, I'm not complaining. Please don't nerf Pudge.
We'll see as we scroll down. Cast point on Curse Crown has been increased by 0.1 second. I mean, it doesn't seem like a very big change. It'll just be easier to interrupt her, I guess, slightly, and also make her stand in place for just slightly longer to do stuff.
It's like I feel like that ability has been something that people cast on somebody right as they go into fog, and you can kind of get it off pretty quickly. So that it's kind of just a nerf to that, where it's like, oh, you just saw somebody, it's like instant, you know. You instantly get somebody and chase them down in the fog. It's more so like difficult to do that now. Hey, drowners, you knew it was happening. Well, kind of.
This is interesting. Base agility reduced from 26 to 19, but the base damage remains unchanged. So
she has less armor. She runs a little slower.
Attacks slightly slower.
Well, yeah, at all levels. So the agi gain. So she has 0.3 more agi gain. So
and her attack animation has been improved slightly as well. So it seems like they're like nerfing it, but then trying to kind of like reset it back to where it was.
It's like her early game is weaker. That's basically it. Yeah. Slightly weaker.
Interesting.
But boy, if you're struggling to last hit with Drow, she's gonna be a lot harder to last hit with now. Well, actually, the BAT was improved, so I don't know.
I'll have to play that a couple times to figure out whether it makes a difference.
Enchantress. This is a much needed nerf. I think this is possibly the biggest nerf in here. I've never seen a hero get movement speed reduced by 15 in one patch.
It was so 15. Broken, man. You didn't even need to go boots on her until like ever, basically.
It's a lot of people weren't.
Yeah, I mean, with a windlace, she had more movement speed than a lot of heroes with boots, which is super dumb.
That's pretty stupid. So yeah, 15 movement speed reduced. I think that this hero is still going to be strong for the same reasons that she was strong. I think that with 15 movement speed reduced, so she had 340 movement speed, which is ridiculous. So 15 off of that is like 325, which is still very, very, very fast. So I think she's still probably pretty good. I don't think that's a huge nerf. It's a huge nerf to her, but she was so strong and so uncounterable that I think she's still going to be good. Gyrocopter, base agility reduced, but the base damage and armor unchanged. So he attacks slower, less movement speed, less armor.
It says armor is unchanged.
But the armor is unchanged. Okay, so the armor he got increase in base armor, so it's literally just movement speed and attack speed.
Weird.
Very minor. Huskar, base damage reduced. That's good. That hero has been a ridiculous last pick for so long. I think any nerfs to Huskar I will be happy about. Although that is a lot of health you get at level 10. 225 HP. That might be the highest level 10 health
That's
talent
what
in the game.
Bloodseekers used to be when everybody thought that it was super broken. Pugna also gets 225 at level 10. But
that's pretty insane. That's an insane.
Yeah, but on a hero that wants to be in the middle of a fight, 225 health is really nice.
Yeah, that's really good. Io Spirits cooldown increased a little bit, not that big, not that huge of a deal. The XP talent was reduced. Everybody was going for that. Since they nerfed the damage, everybody started going for the XP talent and just trying to give the tether gives Aghanim Scepter bonus. They've been trying to like aim for that and picking heroes like Gyro that go with that really nicely. So yeah, that's just a nerf to that build. The spirits, I think 26 seconds isn't. I mean, it's not really that big of a deal. You max the spirits anyway, so it's not a huge deal. But of course, minor nerfs for a hero that wasn't incredibly broken. Just a strong hero.
I was getting the Earth Spirit treatment and just getting nerfs every patch now. It seems like.
Yeah.
Mirana, yay!
Makes sense.
100 leap attack speed was way too much. 80 is still very high, but at least it's not 100.
What is with that for like a level 15 talent? I've never seen such high numbers on a 15 talent. 80 is still high. But I don't think that hero's very good either. Like I think that hero's in the same place as like Bloodseeker, where it's like, okay, I can see the nerfs because it's picked, but when it's picked, it doesn't do well. Like it sucks usually.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of interesting. I feel like this hero was getting a ton of play in like the group stages and the qualifiers for TI, and then suddenly everybody decided that it wasn't very good in like the main stage.
Because I had a terrible win rate, and like when it was winning, it was just because the rest of the team was doing shit.
Yeah,
like
or paired with the Drow, that was pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. But then if you're gonna pair with the Drow, there's tons of other heroes. So speaking of paired with the Drow, Nature's Prophet, base damage reduced by 3. Drow Natures was like a very common duo, safe lane duo. I think Liquid was running that. It's just so much damage. Nature's Prophet is like a 5 roll. His base damage is way too high. If you look at his base damage, like 60 or something, like it doesn't make sense. Playing him as a 5 roll, it's just one of those situations where a hero that is supposed to be played as an offlaner gets played as a 5 roll, and then Ice Frog is like, oh, right, that is good, you know. So they nerfed that because he was just so good at harassing.
Yeah, he had like
so
Shadow Shaman levels of damage, but he had monstrous attack range too, which was too much.
Oh god, yeah. Necrophos, agility. He has less agility until like level 18 or something. So less armor. Okay. Base movement speed reduced. I think that probably hurts him more because
he's already slow.
Yeah. So goddamn slow. I think Necro is another one of those heroes that's in a place that's like not too good. It's dark. It's a dark place. I feel like Pugna's really good against him. Bat is really good against him if that ever gets picked. There's a lot of heroes that really counter him. Ever since they changed it so that he has a 40% increase on magic damage in the Ghost Shroud, I thought he hasn't been the strongest unless it's a very, very good game for him. And now that is more so true due to these.
Yeah, and now he's like basically the only way to use this hero is just to have him as like a frontline tank because he's so slow. He's like a Medusa. It just has to like walk towards you with like.
Oh yeah, the agi changes too makes it so that his movement speed is going to be a little bit less as well. Phantom Lancer, level 25 talent reduced from -7 second doppelganger to -6 seconds. So that's a nerf to Ana.
It's a nerf to the stupidness that is that talent and being able to doppelgang
pretty stupid.
Basically constantly.
It is constant because it's a 2 second, well, kind of. It's a 2 second cooldown. The illusions last for 2 seconds, but it takes 1 second to doppel. It's a 3 second cooldown. The illusions last 2 seconds, and then it's a 1 second to actually doppel. So it was 100% uptime on those doppelganger illusions, which is insane. It's just absolutely insane. So now there's a 1 second where they're all going to despawn. Not all the illusions, but the doppel illusions are going to despawn. So that's a pretty good nerf, I think. Silencer, Arcane Curse mana cost increased, nerf to no-tail. I haven't seen that hero have a lot of success in pubs, but had a lot of success in TI, so that definitely makes sense. And Arcane Curse has been so easy to spam out in the laning phase for so long. Oh my god, these next nerfs.
I think you'll definitely be wanting to go Glaive's level 1 on Silencer now. Maybe even like not even take Curse until level 3 or 4 or something like that, for the harassed. But I don't know. He has a pretty big mana pool, so maybe depending on the lane, you'll change that.
Yeah. So Spectre. Spectral Dagger linger duration reduced from 2 to 1. It definitely lingered for way too long. I feel like you get that ability on you, and
you're so slow forever.
Forever. Yeah, 2 to 1, so it's halved. And that means that you won't be seen either, if I'm not mistaken. Linger duration.
It seems like, I don't know. I'm a little confused because
unless you're directly hit by it, then it lasts for the duration.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
It's just if you step on it, it's not going to slow you. I don't think it showed you when you stepped on it anyway. So, but dispersion, this is like a big change in my opinion. The dispersion max reflection range is reduced from 1,000 to 700. So not only does that nerf that Spectre is not going to do damage for 300 more radius, it also scales. So that 700 radius, if you were to stand in that before, you might get annihilated, but now it's going to do very, very little damage to you. So this is actually a pretty big nerf to Spectre. I feel like dispersion has been way too good for a long time. Like the hero has felt way too unkillable, does so much pure damage in response. Like it hasn't been fair. And then
it's just kind of it was really dumb that this hero would basically just win a team fight by herself just by existing in the team fight, because like you essentially could not be far enough away to not be taking dispersion damage. So you had to ignore her until everybody else was dead. Otherwise, you were just like, you were taking 30% of the damage that she was taking.
I kind of feel similarly to with the Desolate too, where it feels like no matter what, like the Desolate would always hit you because it's like you're always going to be 325 units away from a hero in a fight because you don't want to group up. So like I feel like Desolate's the same thing as that, where it's like, oh come on, like it's impossible to avoid all of this damage she's doing. But like changing it so that it's less on the dispersion and more on the Desolate means that like she's just a harder hero to play. She's a harder hero to get away with, which is good because she's been incredibly easy to get away with in every patch for the last like year.
I still think she's going to be pretty good. Like I still think she's going to be pretty good. But you will have people who previously were winning games with her just off of the back of dispersion, doing too much damage and winning fights. Who will lose games now. But like she still has the ability to buy back and instantly get into fights. She still has a lot of damage, and she still has the insane talents that make her like almost unkillable.
Yep. Tiny. Oh man, I like this. This is one of my favorite heroes. I'm sad this gets nerfed. Tree grab mana cost increased. That's a pretty big deal. He doesn't have a large mana pool. He uses basically his entire mana pool for his avalanche toss combo. So having this ability be 50 mana cost is that's a hefty nerf in my opinion. Like I actually think that's really bad for Tiny. The avalanche cooldown has been increased even more. That already was increased, and it felt like it was such a long time to wait for the next avalanche. So I honestly think maybe this is just conjecture, and I'm biased and emotional because I really like this hero, but I think Tiny is like off the face of the earth right now. I think these nerfs are.
I've heard that before, and sure enough, he was picked again at TI.
Yeah, but no, that's because he got buffed a bunch of times in the patches, though. Like he got.
Yeah, his early game will definitely be bad now. It's like he probably won't have enough mana to continually be hunting until he gets like Echo Saber, and you're gonna have to buy Clarities to be able to continue running around doing that.
That's so bad, though. That's so bad. That's like so much money.
But he deserves it.
Speaking of mana, though. Ursa. No, he doesn't. Ursa. This hero deserves it. Overpowered mana cost increased 45 to 75. That's a pretty big deal for him.
You want
like both of these heroes are mana dependent, but have low mana.
This makes doing Roche a lot harder early as well, especially because you can't regen mana while you're fighting Roche because he takes it off, and it also means that you're gonna have to be a lot more careful when you're using Earth Shock as well in the lane because you might not be able to get the critical overpower to get a kill.
Yeah, God. The reason Ursa has been so strong is because overpower level 1 is so broken, but that's a direct nerf to that, so we'll see, I guess. Vengeful Spirit cooldown, Wave of Terror, has been increased to 16 seconds at level 1. That ability was used to harass in the laning phase, and now the cooldown has been essentially doubled. Maybe not exactly doubled, but it's been increased pretty significantly. So that is definitely a nerf to 5 Venge. That is not a nerf to 3-roll Venge, though, because 3-roll Venge will, of course, get levels and maxes the stun and uses the stun to do damage and threaten kill potential and stuff. So that's not that big of a deal for 3-roll Venge, but definitely for 5-roll Venge, that's a pretty big deal.
Weaver. Yeah, a lot of these are just their mana cost increases, which is, I mean, kind of a big deal just across the board.
For these heroes, yeah, these are like, it's like all agi heroes and like low mana pool heroes that are getting high mana costs now. And I mean, the Swarm I maxed out first anyway, so it's not. But the thing is that 100 mana cost when it's maxed out is actually kind of significant for Weaver, and now it's 110 not maxed out. So the Swarm has been a big reason that Weaver has been strong for quite a few patches, and now it's not nowhere near as efficient. You could just kind of spam it out.
Yeah, you won't be using this to like shove lanes like you used to be doing. You know, you run up to lane, cast the Swarm, Shikuchi for it, and then like.
It's one of the best things about Weaver being able to do that, though, is the thing. So you never know. Like this, it might actually make him not viable anymore. So Wraith King, Wraith Fire Blast cooldown was increased. We knew in the Alchemy Answers that this was definitely going to get nerfed, but it is the cooldown instead of the mana cost, like all of these other heroes. Presumably because Valve just reduced the mana cost on the Wraith Fire Blast, and they don't really go back on changes. That's not their style. So the cooldown has been increased, and it was, I mean, way too spammable in the early game anyway. This makes a lot of sense. I think the fact that you max out this stun first usually makes it so this is not that big of a deal, because once you have the level 2 in the Wraith Fire Blast, it's kind of similar to the level 1, and you didn't really have mana to spam it out that much in the first place. So this might not be that big of a nerf. But it's hard to say how the math actually works out until I see somebody lane with it. But I feel like this isn't a huge deal.
This doesn't change anything after the laning phase breaks down whatsoever. But it will change the fact that, like, especially probably for offlane Wraith King, where you could just go in and just like Wraith Fire Blast the support, and then by the time the tick damage was over, you basically had Wraith Fire Blast up again to do it. It's kind of like Axe's Battle Hunger, where it's just like you constantly have it on somebody, and it's really, really annoying to deal with as a support or a carry trying to last it. Thanks for watching, everybody, and let us know what you expect out of the big patch in the comment section below, and whether you think this patch, 7.19b, was a good balanced patch or not. We'll see you next time.